Hello lovely friends, did you hear the giggles? This is a reverse flower dip acrylic pour painting. Thank you so much my wonderful subscribers, I so appreciate you. So today this is a flower and it's the result of a recent workshop that I just did with some amazing ladies. Oh, it was such a joy to be with them and teach them and see their creations. So here are the colours. You may have seen a recent video where I mix these paints up. I'll put that at the end of this video and it's showing you how I mix my paints. So I hope you enjoy that one. So today we've got autumn colours and they're all iridescent paints and they're all from the Pebier range and they dance so well together. So I mixed up these paints to get it nice and fluid. I must apologise at the beginning about the lighting. I recorded it from the wrong angle, but I've done my best to edit it so you can see all the important bits, and I've doubled up on explaining, as in the colours and that sort of thing. So this first colour is iridescent copper, and you can't see it from this angle, but I'll give you a close-up in a minute to show you. But right now I'm just showing you the process of this reverse flower dip, which was developed by Fiona Art. Now I then saw a video from Fiona's creative canvas and I loved what she did with the stamens in the middle, so I will show you how I do that towards the end, and I'll put a link to another video that's very detailed in the description below and at the end of this one. But for now, this one was such a fun one to make. I remember in the class the other girls were doing their tree swipes and it was the end of the class and I don't know where the hours had gone, and this is what we'll be doing in the next class, but by the time you watch it it could be before or afterwards. But either way, we had a lot of fun with these colours today and we're using a very simple palette. They're all iridescent. You can see that we've used the copper and the gold and the iridescent red so far. So as I was going along I really wanted to highlight it a bit, because having a sort of a chocolate brown base colour, you really needed to get some light in there, but also I wanted it to pop but in a subtle way. So I'm layering the paints according to how I want the painting to come out, and I find with the reverse flower dip, laying the paints down in almost a gradient way with a bit of highlight, it comes out so nicely. I love using the same colour palette but different colours within that range of colour. So as I'm laying the paints out, I'm just watching as the paint drips down. What I'm using for today is the bottom of a water bottle, and you might notice that I'm not putting the paint right in the middle of it. I'm putting the paint at the very top of the crevice, so the paint can then gently pour down in a straight line and you're not wasting too much paint then. And as I finish doing those leaves, which you'll see in a minute how they turn out, I turn it round so I'm placing the bottom of the bottle in between those mounds and I'm starting again, but this time, because I like a bit of contrast in the leaves in between, I'm using slightly different colours in a different way. So just have a look at how I'm laying those colours, and I'm at this point wanting to add a bit of white to have a bit of highlight. And you might think, but doesn't that come out strangely if you're having white in between the petals and not on every petal? Well, let's wait and see what happens. So I'm putting the smallest amount of white on each of the mounds and I'm just letting it drop and just sit just for a few seconds. So by the time I've gone round the whole plastic cup, you can see that the paints have had time just to settle and they're layering really nicely. Now at one point I go off to help somebody, and when I come back I notice that that paint has spread even more and it creates a gorgeous effect. So I was actually leaving this reverse flower dip while I went off and was answering last minute questions, because it was kind of the end of the class, but I wanted to answer questions when they came up, and we were having such a giggle I wasn't really concentrating on what I was doing. So the next class we'll be doing this again. Isn't it funny how when you just do things by second nature they turn out differently to when you're trying to do them. This is probably my best flower. So I've finished now with the paint and I'm letting it settle just for a second. while I get my bottle and I dampen up my cloth. I'm using a serviette today, and I like to use a serviette that's quite a bit bigger than the canvas, because that way when you pick up the corners you have plenty of room and you don't disturb the paint as much. So the serviette is all ready now, and I'm going to take this off. I did it really fast and I had a bit of a spatter, but that actually added to the paint. I was trying to show the students as well that it doesn't need to be, you know, it doesn't have to be so thought through. It doesn't have to be so in your head about it. If you allow yourself to be a bit intuitive, I know when you're learning you want to get it right and you want to understand how to do it, but part of it is just play. And I think by just reminding the students that they just could play, you know, and just have a bit of fun, it just changed things, and it was just such a lovely atmosphere. I'm so pleased with what they've done. I'll show you at the end the little tree swipes that they did, and that's just a tester before they do their other paintings in the next workshop. So here I'm using my cocktail stick, and I'm choosing to go every other flower from the beginning of the colour out, and now in the second layer I'm swiping through with a cocktail stick every other flower from the gold outwards. And you see that. So if you have any questions, please do ask in the comments below. I'm very happy to answer anything. Now with this serviette, you lay it down and you think, oh my goodness, there's some bubbles in there, and even though it's damp you can see that it's rising a bit, but as long as you make contact with the serviette to the flower, which is a great question that one of the ladies asked, and you're satisfied that you've patted it all down, you just need to then trust and see what happens. So after I'd patted the serviette down the painting, I lifted the corners really carefully, opposite corners, gathering them up without lifting it at this point, and that's why it's so good to have something that's bigger than the painting. Really centrally I lift the painting up. It doesn't matter if it's off to one side, because it might mean that you have a bigger inside, but I did want mine central. So now what I'm doing is I'm getting the rest of the base paint and laying it down, and I do a spin, which was a lot of laughter and a big surprise for some of the ladies. So just showing you there a glimpse of what I'm doing. This is the stamen part. Now I must apologise again about the lighting here. There's another video at the end which will show you exactly what I'm doing and how I'm doing it. But if you look closely, you can see what I'm doing, that I'm in the centre of the flower, I'm dotting, and the dot is just literally the end of a cocktail stick, and I'm wiping it and doing it again, and then I use the cocktail stick to strike through it to create those stamens. So it's been such a delight bringing this one to you today. Please let me know what you think. Do you think it's a hibiscus plant? Hibiscus flower? What do you see? I felt very autumny when I did this, and I wanted to start off with a chocolate base, and that's all I knew at the time. So please let me know what you're doing at the moment. I love hearing and seeing your creations. Thank you so much for being here and supporting my channel, and I'm so glad I've got a record now of this flower. Enjoy creating, and don't forget your art is a piece of you. I hope to see you again soon, and please subscribe if you haven't already, and share with your friends. And thank you so much for mentioning me if you feel inspired. I feel so inspired so often. See you soon, I hope. Bye.
I've been walking a while, you got me tripping.